Welcome to the Holistic Entrepreneur. This is going to be a really quick introduction episode so that you have a better understanding about what this entire podcast is. Hopefully the intro audio gives you a good summary of what to expect, but let's dive a little bit deeper and also set a baseline foundation and have you understand why it is that I'm creating this show and what I'm passionate about in it, as well as a little bit of the strategy. So you're going to notice first off that this is titled episode 18. That's because although I'm launching a brand new show, this is technically a rebrand. Last year in 2023, I had a show called Ashley Comes Clean when I was running a different avenue of business at the time. And I was definitely still in a space of exploration. However, parts of that show had to do about entrepreneurship in general, because that's always been something I'm passionate about. So I thought, do I want to delete episode 1 through 17? No, I don't want to delete those. If you go into Spotify, you will see episode 1 through 17. You can certainly listen to them. And I think that in part, they have some relevance to not only how I think about things, my processing, and also entrepreneurship, but they are part of the way that I got here today. And today I'm feeling so aligned with this show, with the holistic entrepreneur. And I'm feeling aligned because I've taken a good amount of time to not only just be strategic about my business and what I'm interested in doing, but take some time to really say what lights me up, what brings me joy, and to do more of that. Because I think when we as entrepreneurs do more of what lights us up truly, then I think we just have a snowball of success. How can you not? How can you not find success, whatever that term means to you, when you're doing something that brings you joy and satisfaction? So anyways, the holistic entrepreneur, if you see me looking down, it's because I have notes, because I'm a talker. I can talk and we can take tangents. And honestly, a big part of this show is going to be raw and unfiltered and unscripted. And we will take those tangents. And so you will see whoopsies or where the heck was I going with that conversation? And I think it's because there's so much scripted content out there nowadays. Like, I'd like to see something a little bit more raw and real, but I do want to have some notes so that I stay on track and I don't just talk your ear off in some aimless direction. Okay, so this episode is an introduction to the show. What can you expect from the holistic entrepreneur? Well, I want to set one thing straight, because one thing I was concerned about when I was titling the show, when I was naming the show, is that someone might see the name and think that we're just going to be talking about selling essential oils. And no shame to anyone who sells essential oils. I love essential oils. But I think the term holistic, even though it means what it means, it can also often be pigeonholed into holistic healing. And while that's definitely going to be a flavor and something we talk about in this show, we're talking about holistic human. We're talking about being a whole human and how that funnels into entrepreneurship. We are talking about being a whole human from the lens or perspective of someone who is already an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur that is looking to better understand what this lifestyle is like and set strong foundations for themselves. So you're welcome to join our community if you're selling essential oils, but the show's not about holistic healing entrepreneurs, okay? We're going to talk about entrepreneurship from service-based, product-based, network marketing, so many different real estate, obviously, so many different avenues and aspects. And when you listen to the intro, it says it best. We're focusing on operating as a whole human being and how doing that and understanding the purpose and power of doing that, how that funnels into then being a successful entrepreneur, having enough energy to pour into our business without getting into a space of burnout or realizing we're not doing things that light us up and bring us joy. We're not operating in our zone of genius, whatever it might be. So that's really important and passionate to me, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. However, I want to just mention, I'm not perfect. And I'm still evolving as a human being. I'm still learning so much of what I think it means to be a holistic entrepreneur. And so I want to bring guests on to the show that are operating in different specialized space so that we can broaden our perspective and you're not just hearing from me. So expect to hear lots of guest episodes. And if you're hearing this right now and you're thinking, I'm an entrepreneur and I feel like I operate with some sort of holistic aspect, or I've got a story to tell, reach out to me because I'd love to put you on the pipeline, if you will, of episodes that I'm working on recording right now. So why am I creating this show? Well, I'm creating this show because it brings me joy. It's like I said before, it's so in alignment for me. And I also have strategy behind it, but I'll tell you about that in a moment as well. So it's a blend of who I am and who I am becoming and who I'm becoming more of, and the evolution of things in my life that are becoming more and more important, more and more foundational to how I operate. One of those things is entrepreneurship. I don't know where it came from necessarily. Like all of a sudden, I was just exploring entrepreneurship with a handmade product-based business that moved from a passion project to a side hustle to full-time. And then after that, I got really interested in diversified income and explored a variety of self-employed businesses and different structures and different industries. And I'm continuing to explore. I love to learn new things. I love to challenge myself. I'm not a perfectionist. I've never really felt inclined to be like A++, gotta get it perfect. I need to be a master of this skill. I feel more like what I've heard is called like a multi-potentialite, like a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So I love to dip my toe in 10,000 different ponds, and that can get the best of me, but that's a story for another time. But I love entrepreneurship, and I've dove into a lot of different ponds, and so we will definitely cover a spectrum of entrepreneurship. We're not going to just be in one industry or one topic. So join us if you're any style of entrepreneur. The other reason why I'm creating this show is because of my passion and interest and the energy I put towards my own personal development. And I would say it was probably about 6 years ago. Well, let me start first by saying, for some reason, I've always been the type of person that I've always wanted to see how I could be a better version of myself. I've learned to reword that. Again, another story for another time. Let's not take tangents. But I have always been that way. And then I had this catastrophic event in my own world, a friendship of mine that just exploded, and for a variety of reasons threw me into, I decided to go into talk therapy, traditional talk therapy with a therapist. And that just kept snowballing. I met my now fiance, who introduced me to a lot more, I would say, the holistic healing, or just a bigger variety of modalities of healing, and have since explored plant medicine, different coaching styles. I've worked with a variety of different coaches. I'm exploring more somatic therapy or coaching right now. What else have I done? Just exploring my spirituality and what that means to me. I'm exploring my physical well-being, nutrition well-being, what works for me. So I've just been exploring so many different things, and we're all unique human beings. So what works for me isn't going to work for you, maybe. But I've been on that journey, and that's really shaped how I show up in my relationships, how I show up in the world, how I show up for myself, and then how I show up for my business. And I think it's allowed me to build a self-awareness, an ability to observe myself, and to then ask myself a series of questions to get to whatever my truth is, which I think is a process, for example, of getting to what brings me joy, what brings me passion, what do I love and enjoy doing. Something else I want to mention, I didn't think about talking about it, but this is a little sampling of a story. I think I'll dive in a future episode. But when I was first diving into entrepreneurship as a young adult, I was taking my passion project turned side hustle, and I was considering turning it into a full-time thing. And this is actually right before 2020, but I did a video journal. Okay, so if you are trying to self-process and ask yourself questions, or just process where you're at in life, this is a tip for you. You can try just journaling and writing, and just it's a stream of consciousness. But something I like doing every once in a while is a video journal with no intention of sharing it with anyone. I'm not posting it anywhere. It's a journal. It's for me. But with a video journal, I can look at myself afterwards. I can see maybe like self-expression. I can see pause. I can see the pondering or the uncertainty or the confusion. I can get a lot more emotion when I see myself as I'm talking versus just writing. And so it's a way of self-reflecting. And something that I did at the time, I was in a balance of, do I go to a full-time job or do I continue down this path of my business? And I had an interview at a company that I would have been really excited to work at in a job I would have probably been really excited to do. But I came back and I was exhausted from the interview, and I did a little video journal before I went inside, yada, 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 saying all these things. And then I heard myself say, the company I was running at the time was called Dandy Roots. And I said, well, running Dandy Roots has been really, really fun and cool, but I mean, doing it full time, I guess that's a little unrealistic. And immediately in that video, I heard myself say that. And I said, it's only unrealistic if I say it's unrealistic. And that was a huge moment for me. And it was a huge moment of recognizing limiting beliefs. And whose story is that? Who's telling me that this is unrealistic? Plenty of people are out there running their own businesses. Why can't it be me? And so I dove in, and here we are today. So a little story, but hopefully that's inspiring, and I'm sure it'll come up again someday in a future episode. And so I feel like the Holistic Entrepreneur as a podcast is a beautiful blend of these two things that I'm already passionate about. So it's very easy for me to talk about. Speaking about talking, I'm a big talker. I'm a big verbal processor. So a podcast is just right for me. And I also come from Silicon Valley. I lived a lot of my life in the San Francisco Bay Area. I went to college there, grew up for a part of my life there, and started my career after graduating in that area. And I felt surrounded by this hustle culture, because it's so expensive there to live, and everyone feels that, the cost of living being so heavy. And so there's this pressure that we feel to like make more money so that we can actually enjoy our lives. And then I don't know what starts first, the chicken or the egg, but that's going on. And then you see someone else getting, leaving their job, getting a better paying job, getting a promotion, whatever it is, and you see that, and that subconsciously filters in that I should be doing that too. And I feel like you get trapped unconsciously in this process of living to work. And I'm not saying everyone that lives in the Bay Area is like that, but I felt that around me so heavily. And I think that people are so unaware that they're doing that and just struggling to get by, that where's the joy in life? And when you are finding joy in life, are you really just like disassociating from all your problems? Okay, we could talk about that another time too. So that was rooted in me, and I've brought awareness to that. And that's why it's another part of my intro audio and a big part of why I'm bringing this show to the people, because I believe that there is a huge surge of entrepreneurship, not just the people who have already been doing it, but the people who started doing it and found a lot of success in 2020, and a new generation who is graduating high school and realizing they don't need a 4-year university, and there are a lot of creative ways to make money nowadays, and they're doing that. And I think I'm not going to make any stat, but I saw some chart where it was like over half of the new generation was like thinking about running their own business. And so there's a huge surge of entrepreneurship, which is amazing. And there's so many resources out there to get started, to learn tools and strategies and tips and tricks. But where's the blend of, yes, strategy, tools, have purpose, do all that back end stuff that's important, take action. But where's the blend of that with make sure you're operating in alignment and be self-aware? And how do we get to, how do we avoid burnout? Like, how can we prepare ourselves to not go down that path? And the awareness there, I think, is so important. And that's why I want to talk about all this. And so in the show, we will definitely talk about strategy in business. We'll talk about what tools or technology or systems people are using that work for them. We'll go into that for sure. I'm super passionate about that aspect of business. But we're also going to talk about the upfront stuff. And all the upfront stuff is getting your mind right, getting your spirituality right, getting your body right, getting your home life, your family, your lifestyle. That comes first. And if you're not putting that first, I don't know what domino you're seeing. So that's going to be important. And we're definitely going to talk about all aspects there. I also love to learn and I love to share. And so that's another reason why the show's coming to life here. And then I want to make one other point. I've been alluding to it earlier in this episode, and that is that there is strategy for me in running this podcast. So I am a real estate agent in the Charlotte area, and I have my social media that I run very heavily as a way to network, as a way to market, as a way to prospect my services. I'm also in the process of starting a YouTube channel, which is going to be the business aspect of real estate, because I want to work on attracting realtors who are interested in just better understanding the business side of things. And so the funnel, how I see it, is like my social media is all about transactional real estate. It's, buyers or sellers that want to work with me. And then I go up to my YouTube channel, which is for realtors or people in the real estate industry that want to look at the business side of things. That feeds my passion for entrepreneurship. And then the top of the funnel is this podcast, where I can speak about a variety of entrepreneurial efforts and industries, because I have been in a variety. I have network and friends that are in a variety of entrepreneurial endeavors. And also just everything I've already talked about as to why I'm starting the show, being important. So this is the top of the funnel, and it gives me a strategic platform to talk about it all, because I want to talk about it all. But if I talk about it all on my Instagram, I'm going to confuse people. And I have a strategy for my Instagram. And I'm telling you this because you are an entrepreneur, and I'm letting you in to not just that the show is what it's going to be about, but why. I have a reason. I have a purpose, because the podcast is going to take a lot of consistency, a lot of effort, a lot of knowledge, a lot of planning to bring guests in. It's going to take a lot of energy. So if I don't have a strong purpose, if I don't have a strong why, I believe that I will fail. I won't follow through. And I've seen that in my business and other avenues I've taken. I see that with other people. So if you do not start with a strong purpose and why, you're going to be floundering. You're not going to understand what your purpose is. And I'm going to also be a little bit even more transparent. So I'm going to pull the layer back just one more layer. One of the things I've done as an entrepreneur is I've done a little bit of coaching for other entrepreneurs. At the time when I was running my handmade product business, I had found a decent amount of success, and I offered that support to a few others in my network in my area who were starting handmade product businesses. And so I worked with them in short containers, where I supported them on either kickstarting their business or just building a strong foundation and getting a strong strategy. So it was something that I did, and it lit me up. I just loved helping others. I loved being a reflection and a mirror for other entrepreneurs, and being kind of a sounding board for their ideas and helping them bring their own visions to life, not just from a strategy standpoint, but also we dove into hey, we said we were going to do this assignment, or this project, and you're telling me you haven't done it. Let's talk a little bit about why, but let's go deeper into why. Why? Are we afraid of something? What's the deep rooted aspect here? So we would go into all of those things, and I'm being very vague and simple about it right now, but it brought me so much joy, and I see myself someday working as a coach for entrepreneurs. And so I'm just peeling back the layer and letting you know that this podcast is going to serve as a bridge so that my community can hear my voice and see my passions and see how I show up in this space and in this world, so that as I build a platform, a product suite, an offering in the world of business coaching, and as I develop my skills and whatever it is that I'm trying to lay for my own foundation there, I have this podcast as a funnel and as a starting place for anyone who might be interested in working with me. Okay, so there is strategy here. There is purpose. With that being said, something I'm looking at doing by the end of 2024 is bringing on a few pro bono clients. And that means that you don't need to pay me any money. So you get my services and my support. And then in response to that, I get my experience working with you. I get an opportunity to refine how I want to show up as a coach. And again, I've done a little bit of this before, so I have some strategy in play. But if there's anyone listening to this and you're running a business and you would love a little bit of reflection guidance, or you'd be open to working with me as your coach, then I am looking for a handful of pro bono clients who would be willing to work with me in a small 3-month agreement container. So if you're seeing this and you're interested, or you know someone who might be, reach out to me and let's see if we can get that container going. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening to this introduction episode. I hope you have a better understanding for what this whole show is going to be about. And one other thing I want to mention is the way that I'm going to start the show. I'm going to have a little bit of structure, but I also am going to explore free-flowing, because sometimes structure doesn't fit the bill. But the way I want to start the show is having themes across the first couple episodes. So I'm going to do like an intro episode on a particular theme, and the first one's going to be physical wellness, and I might do a solo intro episode where I talk about my opinions, my experiences, what I feel like is important about this theme, and then I'm going to bring on 2 to 3 different guests and they're all going to have their own episode, and they're going to be experts on that theme, and then we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to interview them and get their perspective on the importance of let's, for example, physical wellness and how that feeds their life and how that feeds them in their business. So that's going to be the structure. So you're going to see a couple episodes come out that are across a different theme. We're going to learn different perspectives from different people. I think that's going to be a great way for the audience to learn, and then we'll bounce into new themes, if you will. So stick around, because we're going to go through so much goodness, okay? And if you're excited about this show, the best thing you can do to support me is follow the show, put the little bell notification button if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever, rate it, leave me a review, and then share it. Put it on your stories on Instagram. Send it to people in your community that you think will really appreciate it and get excited about it. That's a huge way to energetically exchange here with the knowledge I'm hopefully going to be providing for you, the entertainment I'm hopefully going to be providing for you, and in exchange, you can do that for me. So I really appreciate it. And until next time.